This morning, Fox News national security analyst Katie McFarland. We're bringing in Katie because I want to get away from all of this legalisms because I don't necessarily understand it.
You're not meant to.
No, thank you. You're so right. I want to get right to my point, which is this is a question of judgment.
Yes.
Why is it that a former senator, a former first lady, someone running for the president of the United States, goes and starts up a private server? Where's the judgment here?
You know, the interesting thing about what you've just mentioned, nobody has asked her the question under oath, why'd you do this? Why did you set up a separate server? What were you trying to do? What were you trying to keep out of the eyes of the government, out of the eyes of the Freedom of Information Act requests that might have come after you had your position as Secretary of State? Nobody asked her that. It wasn't just about keeping her yoga schedule private.
I think she was asked, but not under oath. This was back in the early days when she said she didn't want a lot of confusion. That's why she only had 2 devices and wanted to keep it simple. Well, obviously that wasn't true because she had 13 devices. But I think you agree with me that it's a question of judgment. It's not legalistic, juggling here. It's judgment.
She knew she was going to get in trouble for that.
So why did
I think the reason they did it from the very beginning, it was a pay-to-play scheme. That they did not want anybody to see the foundation to the State Department decisions. I think they didn't want anybody to see what went into the foundation, what came out of the State Department. But your question about judgment is not just ethical judgment. I think it's also substantive judgment. You know, she says, vote for me. I have the most experience. I've had every major job there is. I know the world leaders. I know how to be President of the United States and Commander-in-Chief. I looked down that list of all the decisions that she was involved with, many of which she was the primary mover of. They were all complete disasters.
Give me a couple.
Okay, so Iraq. The decision to go into Iraq by President Bush, she was all in favor of it. But even now she said, hey, you know, that was a mistake. We shouldn't have gone into Iraq. And yet she was also endorsed President Obama's decision to get out of Iraq. Well, that's what led to the rise of ISIS in the vacuum of our absence. The decision to go into Libya. Well, that's jihadi chaos now. That's now the place where all of the jihadi groups, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and others are setting up shop, and that's why Benghazi happened. The decisions surrounding Benghazi, why did they not answer the request for additional security before? Why did she look at the eyes of the grieving family members after the bodies were brought back and say, well, it wasn't my fault, it was a video incited the rioters, not even terrorists? The reset with Russia, even the going back to the North Korean decision. Bill Clinton was the one that had the original agreements with North Korea about their nuclear programs. She endorsed those at the time. Or we're now looking at the craziest people on the planet with their hands on nuclear weapons and missiles that could deliver them to the United States.